Welcome to Paper Girl Podcast. My name is Melody. I'm the host, a former librarian and owner of Meadow Market Books in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're here to talk about reading, writing, being creative, and today my guest is local author who is about to launch another book, Lyr Gray. Welcome, Lyr.
Thanks, Melody.
It's so good to see you. Lyr and I act around Tulsa, and so we bonded a little bit. We bonded a lot over the last year, but we specifically had a moment in the play that we were just in together where you were talking about your new book, Real Perfect, and talking about how you weren't sure how you wanted to market it. And I said, well, I'm going to make a podcast then. It had been in the back of my brain. And I said, we got to do it. We got to promote your book. And now here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about Real Perfect.
Yeah. So Real Perfect, it's a reality TV romance. It's about a disgraced matchmaker who agrees to go on a reality dating show to compete against her arch nemesis of the dating world, who is a pickup artist guru, is how I would describe him. So he basically teaches men how to pick up women.
I love it. What was was there a specific inspiration?
Yeah, it's actually a really interesting story. So when I started writing novels, and it was back in 2016, I was working with a book coach. And I actually started out writing urban fantasy. That's what I wanted to write. I was obsessed my whole life with the paranormal, urban fantasy books and stories. So my first book I wrote was in that genre, and romance kept sneaking into it. And my book coach was like, you're really good at writing romance. You should write a romance book next. And so I was like, okay, I'll take that challenge. And so Real Perfect was really born out of this challenge from my book coach to write a romance novel. It's the only book I've actually written in third person ever. I usually write in first person. This novel happens to be in third person. And I was watching reality dating shows at the time, and I had just read The Hating Game by Sally Thorne.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, I want some kind of bet or competition or something between these two characters that causes conflict. And I'm like, well, how about reality TV too? Let's throw that in there. That's how it just came to be. And I read a book by this man who was a pickup artist in the 90s. There was this group of men who were professional pickup artists, and he wrote a book called The Game. And I had also read this book. It's not a great read. I don't recommend it. I went down a rabbit hole, researching this whole pickup artist community and culture. They used to have a reality TV show themselves on, I think it was on VH1 in the early 2000s.
You know what? I think I watched a YouTube commentary video about that show.
Yeah. So I did a lot of research into that culture for this book when I decided to write this hero who was this pickup artist guru.
I love it. I'm so excited. I love romance. That's not a surprise to anybody who's been listening or has been in the shop. But specifically, I love watching reality dating shows, just reality TV in general. But hearing about that, I was immediately, I need to read it. I was sneaking around a little bit trying to figure out if there was a way I could get an arc so that I could really dig in quickly, because I'm terribly impatient. I've ruined myself. Alexis Hall's books, I read a year before they come out because I go and jump on the arc, and then I have to wait and wait and wait because I want to recommend it to people, but you can't buy it for another year. And then I screwed myself in that I missed the arc for the third one in one of their series. And I was like, this is the worst day of my life. It was a little dramatic, but you've had me hooked. I was ready to go. And so that releases on February 10th.
That's correct. February 10th. So a week from today.
Just in time for Valentine's Day.
And it is up for pre-order at Amazon for the ebook. That is available for pre-order. And then, of course, the print will be up everywhere on the 10th.
That's so exciting.
Yeah. I didn't get myself organized enough to get arcs out for this one, just with the holidays and everything kind of took me, and we were doing a show. It just all kind of took me by surprise, and I didn't quite get organized enough. But my next release, I will do arcs for it.
Yeah. So in the timeline of your life, when we met doing The Miser,
Mm-hmm.
where were you on Real Perfect?
Real Perfect was actually a completed novel in 2018. And I've written 4 books. I hadn't published any of them yet. And I really got into a swirl with my writing career on whether I wanted to be an indie book author or if I wanted to go the traditional route. And that was a real struggle for me to make a decision on that. So I just kept writing another book and then another book. And honestly, I got burnout because I just wasn't doing anything with my work, but I was like creating work, and I'm a kind of person that has to like see something coming of what I'm working on as part of my personality. I just like got really bad writer burnout, so I stopped writing from 2021 to just the past year. And so I picked Real Perfect back up. I got it edited and revised and finally published it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what got you kind of back into writing? What breathed that life back into you?
You know, it's a really good question, and it just happened organically. I don't think that there was any like one event. I just really missed it. And I'm still part of writing communities and online communities, and I've been to writing groups here in town and met with other writers. And so I've always kept that culture for myself going. And just one day just felt like getting in front of my computer and working on my work again. I'm so happy. I am so happy to be working on my work again. Like it's something fulfilling. It's something I've always loved doing. Yeah. So I'm glad to be back.
Such a true, like, if you love something, let it go. And if it comes back, and it came back and you love it again.
Yeah.
And so you'd written 4 other books between Real Perfect being completed and editing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I wrote a book before Real Perfect. It's called A Day Late and a Demon Short. It's an urban fantasy book. It's about a supermodel who becomes part of an elite demon hunting group.
Oh.
And I need to edit that one and publish it. And then I have a small town second chance romance that I am in love with. It's probably my favorite book to date. And I'm working on finishing it right now to get it edited. It actually takes place in Oklahoma. I started writing it before I ever knew I was going to move to Oklahoma. I used to live in Florida, and I was inspired by small town life. Like I grew up in the Midwest, and I spent a lot of time in small towns. And then I read a story about the Mustang Ranch here in southern Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
There's the BLM partnered with a family ranch, and they relocate Mustangs here to southern Oklahoma. So I'm like, I want to write a romance about a woman who owns a ranch, and she's going to have wild Mustangs come, and then her high school sweetheart who became a professional football player, he comes back to town because he's retiring from the NFL due to having multiple sclerosis. And that's kind of a secret from her, and it's their rekindling of their romance.
Oh, what a treat. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, when you are ready to arc that,
yeah,
I'm number 1 on the list.
You are. You're my number one. And then I have another urban fantasy rom-com series I started writing. I have book 1 almost done in that. So those are my 4 books that I have.
I love that.
In some
iron
form
in
of
the fire, ready to go. And the spark came back. And so with Real Perfect, did you end up going the traditional publishing route?
I published it myself.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And so walk me through the decision to go ahead and publish it yourself.
Well, I think for independent authors, romance genre is incredible, right? The readers are awesome. It's a great community. And I think even if you go traditional publishing, the marketing effort, the things you have to do, there's not much difference, honestly, in my opinion. And it just made more sense to me to publish it myself, manage my brand myself, and go that route.
Yeah. And so you went whole hog. You hired an editor, you hired a cover artist.
Yeah.
Talk me through. We've had a little bit of a hybrid publishing presence here, and we've had a more traditional publishing, but with small presses.
Hmm.
So I've gone full independent publishing, but I want to hear about your experience.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm part of a lot of writer communities, and I have been for a while now. So I did a lot of research, got a lot of recommendations on different service providers. And so, uh, I spoke with a few different editors. I got sample edits from people, and I really like the agency who I went with for my editing. They're local here in Tulsa, actually. It's a partnership. So I do like also having an editor who one person does my editing, the other person can do the proofreading. So I'm not having to outsource to two different companies or anything, because you should always have two people, right, working on
Yes.
those separately. You shouldn't have the same person edit and proofread your book. And so I found a local partnership there, and then my cover artist. I looked at several, and I adored this woman's design work. I just thought her vibe and her covers really fit what I was looking for my book, and I couldn't be happier with how the cover turned out,
The cover
honestly.
is gorgeous. For those who can't see it, because this is primarily an audio podcast, it's full pink, so it's a perfect Valentine's Day gift for yourself. With this woman in this crazy cute pink jumpsuit, and then I guess our pickup artist in a pink button down with pink dress shorts, and just, the energy is so like it's giving like Miami Heat, like
Yeah.
haze, but in this gorgeous pink cast.
Yeah.
I love it. Where is it set?
Laguna Beach,
Laguna Beach. Okay,
California.
yes, so very beachy, very like
Yes.
sea salt air.
Yeah. And I really liked the elements because she captured my heroine, Esme. She's from New York. She actually lives in New York City, and she's come back home to California where she was from in her moment of need. And so I like the element because you can see there's a city element, and then you have the palm trees. And I just thought that was so cute the way she incorporated that into the design.
It just feels like there's a lot of like love and care put into it, and then it's clear like holding on to a story for 8 years is hard,
Yeah.
but like it's so
Yeah.
exciting. And doing a little digging around, I saw, I'm assuming this is the book that you mentioned in some of those interviews talking about Author Accelerator.
Yeah, Author Accelerator was where I started writing again. I always loved writing when I was little. My grandma had one of those manual typewriters, and I used to type stories out at her house, and I would illustrate them myself when I was growing up. So I always loved writing. And then in high school and early college, I was focused on journalism and kind of set aside creative writing for a really long time. And then career happened, and I just went a different direction, went into human resources. And back in 2016, I really wanted to start writing again, but I needed I needed a system. I'm a person who likes systems, right? I really like systems. And at the same time, my best friend passed away. And she had been really encouraging me to get back to writing because she knew I had always been a good writer. I'd always really enjoyed it. So I was looking for coaching. I am a big proponent of coaching. I have lots of different coaches in my life. I have a voice coach, I have an acting coach, I had a book coach for a while. And Lisa Cron had just released Story Genius. If you like writing craft books, I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite books in the world. And Author Accelerator was offering book coaching at the time, and they offered a workshop around author Story Genius with a book coach. So I learned the Story Genius system with a book coach. And that's how I wrote my first novel, A Day Late and a Demon short, which was originally called, it had a different name at the time. Gosh, what was it even called? I don't even remember what I originally called it. It had a working title.
The working title was not for it.
Yeah, the working title wasn't for it, so I changed Spellborn. That was the working title.
Not a bad title.
Not bad,
Daylight
but
Demon Short feels like it fits more.
yeah,
More that urban fantasy.
Yeah, more the
energy.
urban fantasy, and I might revisit that book and then write the series because I do have other thoughts around expanding that world too and those characters. One of these days, I have so many projects. Just I'm always thinking of story ideas, right? I have no shortage of those by any means.
Is being a full-time author something that you hope will?
I would love for that to happen as I continue to explore this journey and publish more of my books. I mean, who wouldn't, right? You're living your dream right now, right?
It happens.
Yeah,
it happens.
Yeah, it happens. So if that were to happen for me, I would not be mad about that. Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
But you're also like you have your hands in so many creative.
That's true.
Creative pots that it's like, you know, you're cultivating a way to live several dreams all at once, and that's so incredibly exciting. But you're not like a stranger to combining those. And before we got set up, you were talking a little bit about, you know, a foray into voicing audiobooks.
Yeah, that's true. So I've been an actor for 30 years now. And I started out in Kansas City, where I was born and raised. And I had an acting coach there, who I adore. He's still a good friend of mine to this day. But I moved to Florida in 2006, and I lived in Florida in Orlando for a period of time. And I had a really hard time finding a theater community there. A lot of acting work there is at the theme parks. There's not as many community theater opportunities. Whenever I've ever moved to a new town, one of the first things I have ever done is go audition for some type of community theater production, because it's a really good way to meet people, right?
It really is.
Yeah, and find a community there. And so he started giving lessons in his acting studio on audiobook narration. So I said, hey, can you do that via like Skype or something? And so I did some lessons with him over Zoom or something. And then, I got started in audiobook narration through ACX. And so I was narrating for independent authors, and I was reading these books and narrating them. And I'm like, why am I not writing? Like, why am I not doing this? Like, I could be writing stories like this. And that's when I started.
You could be narrating your own.
Yeah, that's when I started talking to my friend about it. And she's like, you should. Like, why aren't you writing? And I'm like, that's a great question. And yeah.
I love it. What were there any audiobooks that you narrated that you particularly like loved or still remember?
Yeah, I did a lot of urban fantasy narration, and I did series of books they were really fun. It was really fun to do. I won't say I was the best at it by any means, but it was fun. I will say it is a big job, right? Like you could record 15 hours of audio, and then it has to be edited and mastered and all of those things. And it was a fun thing I did for a while, but I knew I just wanted to focus my energy somewhere else and really on starting my own writing.
Yeah, if I'm going to dedicate 15 hours to a story, it's going to be my own.
Yes, I did this project one time, and I didn't know how many characters were in the book, because you'll get the manuscript from the author. You only get like a 5-minute piece to read when you audition for a book, and then you'll get the book from the author. And I did a book. I think it turned out to be 9 hours of finished audio, and I think it had 57 characters in it.
Oh my God.
I was counting them. It was such a hard project.
Oh my God. And are you someone who routinely like switches up the voice a little bit
Yes.
for each character?
Yes.
Oh my God. How do you keep that straight?
You keep a Bible for the books when you're narrating, and so you can record like a voice snippet, right, for the different characters, and you can keep a file for yourself of what everybody sounds like.
Oh my
But
gosh.
it just felt like it just kept going on and on and on. And then I have to go count, like, how many characters have I done in this book? And I was like, wow, that's mind blowing.
Gosh, that sounds exhausting. I had a moment there where I was like, ooh, narrating an audiobook sounds like a good adventure. I think that is a side quest I will leave unaddressed.
I think in my own writing, I don't think I'll ever write a book with 57 characters in it.
Man, sometimes it's hard to keep track of just like the core 5 or 6 that you want to keep track of.
Yeah, I have in this book 12, I think, because I had to have a whole cast for a reality TV show. I think most of my books, 4 to 6 characters maybe, but I had to have a few extra in this story, and it was fun to keep track of all of them.
Man, so you're keeping light work for the narrators if they want to do. Are you going to record an audio? Or?
I probably won't narrate it myself, but I will probably hire somebody to narrate it when I'm ready.
But you know, if somebody wants to audition for it. Mm-hmm. A lot of voices, but not too many voices.
Not too many voices.
That's how we can sell it.
Not 57, I promise.
We'll make you work hard, but not too hard. No, I love that. I think it's so incredibly fascinating. So you have some urban fiction already published under a variation of this Lyr Gray pen name. You want to talk about those?
Yeah, I actually haven't published it yet. But,
okay.
So A Day Late and a Demon Short. I do need to get back to that, but I started a book series, and the first book is called Bound by Magic, and it is about a woman whose family is disgraced from the local witch coven in Salem, and she accidentally binds a werewolf to her as her familiar. And so that's what the basis of the story is about. So I will finish that book. I will be publishing that under Lyr Gray, which is my name I use, expanded version of Lyr Gray for my fantasy and paranormal romance work.
So I got a little bit of a teaser of the story behind Lyr and Lyr Gray.
Yeah.
But let's share it.
I'd love to. So I have always been an avid gamer. I love online gaming. I used to play a lot of MMORPGs, and I think this name came to be in Dark Age of Camelot. Lyr was born, and I had a guild I was really active with, and they used to call me Lyr for short. We all had our game names, and we all had like shortened nick. You know how you have
it's such a classic. I think I think it's Legendborn where they shorten all of the names of the classic Arthurian tale. They have the normal names, but then all of them are shortened to like Gwen, Art, and it's like.
Yeah, like we had a friend, Zarathus, and we all called him Zer.
It's a fantasy classic.
And we had Berkeley, and he was Burke, and I was Lyr, and I was Lyr, and we all had short names. And I have used that name. That is my gaming name. You can find me in a lot of different games. World of Warcraft, most of the Lyrens are probably me on the different servers. And so when I was searching for a pen name, I just love that name, and it's part of who I am. And I have a really close group of friends who know me as that name, so it just fit naturally for me.
Yeah, the way to keep her alive and take her out of the game sphere and into something even more tangible.
Yeah. And it is a name I will answer to, so when you have a pen name, it's good to have one that you'll answer to. So if you go to conferences and you register under your pen name, and people are like calling you for your attention, like, it's good to have a name you'll answer to, I think. I tried another pen name out. I did take one for a spin several years ago, and I went to a conference. I'm like, I'm going to register under my pen name, and it was the most awkward experience for me. And I'm like, okay, this name, this test drive, I don't want this for my pen name.
I think you found a good fit. What's your reasoning behind using a pen name?
Um, because I do have my hands in a lot of other things, and I do have a professional day job that I work at. For me, I like to keep my creative identity separate from my current, what I would say, professional identity,
I like that. Like a
honestly.
little bit of separation and
Yeah.
boundaries. And I
Yes.
think in a world where we often feel so defined by the work that we do, even like, especially if it's not creative, we're like, oh, yes, this
Hmm.
is my job. And it's nice to like
Yeah.
have a separate, like, this is who I am when I work a 9 to 5 and what's on the W-2. And then for the things that feed my soul, I have this other identity that I can kind of marry myself to that without feeling like, oh, they know me as this person who does the job.
Yeah. I agree with that. And my 9 to 5 is more analytical, in a way. I work for an HR outsourcing company, and I used to focus on payroll. Now I'm in sales. Very different world.
Oh my
And
goodness, yeah.
and I work from home for my 9 to 5 too. And even at home, I have separate spaces. So I have an office for my 9 to 5, and then I have a writing nook for my personal
I
writing.
love
And
that.
they're two very different spaces. And my writing nook nurtures my soul with all of the things I have on the wall art, and my bookcase in that area versus my 9 to 5 space. But keep them very separate.
I love that. That's like, it's so good to like be able to pursue all of that and
Yeah.
just wonderful. I had a question and my brain got rid of it. So I'm gonna go into, you write and you talk about how much you love reading and writing, how it's been a lifelong passion. Um, what were you reading when you were younger?
Oh my gosh. So, fun story. I used to get books all the time as presents. Everybody bought me books. And I even have at home, I have a Little House on the Prairie book set in the box. It's the blue set that my grandma gave me for Christmas one
Oh,
year. And I think I was maybe I was 7 years old. My grandma bought me a clip-on light for my bed
oh
so I
yeah.
could read before I went to sleep. And I loved it. Like I read every night before I went to sleep. And I was really obsessed for a long time with Nancy Drew and Trixie Belden. I spent all of my allowance and all of my birthday money on Nancy Drew and Trixie Belden mystery books. I loved them. And a lot
It,
of them had like paranormal elements to them too.
we saw in one of our used book hauls, my family came and my mom had emptied out some of her big totes of books that have traveled with us everywhere. And there was a copy of The Secret of the Old Clock,
Oh,
which was
yes.
my favorite Nancy Drew.
Yeah.
And I hesitated for a minute before I put it on the shelf because I was like, I think I might want to keep this. And then I was like, you know what? Another kid is going to pick this up and like love it because the kids still love Nancy Drew. And now they've got like graphic novels of the
Yeah.
original stories and the Nancy Drew and the Clue Crew. And it just, it's so fun to see like kids still,
I have mine. They're all hardback copies. I still have them.
the classic yellow spine. And ooh,
Yes.
there's like a paperback
Yes.
copy of a Clue Crew, but the cover or the spine still looks like a classic Nancy Drew. And I was like, ah, the classic cover that you know where it is when you walk into the library or the bookstore. You're like beeline for the bright yellow covers.
Yeah. And I loved anything about ghosts. I would go to my school library, and we had the card catalog back then, and I would go to the ghost section and look
Yes.
everything up that had to do with ghosts or spooky stories. And in the summertime, I always participated in the library reading program. I think I check out like 15 books at a time and read them, and they were always spooky stories
It's such a
and
delight. And
fantasy stories.
there's so much good children's ghost stories out there that like as an adult, it's fun to go in and read. Like there's a new compilation, kind of similar energy to Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, not quite as traumatizing as some of those ones were. But there's these collections that are scary stories for young foxes, and they're crazy good. And they've got cute, like, aesthetic covers, but then, like, the stories are still pretty spooky, and you're like, what a classic childhood experience that we still
Yeah.
get to share with everybody. What kind of reader are you now?
Oh gosh. I still enjoy urban fantasy, romantasy. I am a huge fan. I can't write it. I haven't quite wrapped my brain around how I would write a romantasy, but ACOTAR ruined me for a while for anything else. I had a big ACOTAR hangover. I'm like, I don't know. Nothing measures up for me.
Did you end up getting into the other SJM
Yeah,
verses?
yeah. I'm actually in the middle of the Throne of Glass series right now, and but I do love also just contemporary romance rom-coms. I read a lot in that genre too. So
It makes
yeah,
sense as a writer of contemporary romance
yeah,
to kind of be in there. And
yeah.
I just adore regular romances too, but romantasy has had like a bit of a chokehold on me. But I also got into like shifter fiction for a while. Those stinking like ads on Facebook that like get you in like the first 4 chapters you read
Yeah.
in this Facebook post. It's a nightmare when Facebook refreshes itself. But then I got into those and I was like, you know what? I'm going to find something that's like maybe a little bit not even traditionally published, because a lot of it is, independent publishing and like Kindle Unlimited, KDP stuff.
Yeah.
But at least, a little bit more edited, and also don't have to pay like $1 billion if I want to read it more than like once every 3 weeks when I've watched enough ads. But just what a treat and what a time for people to really like get back into reading, because romantasy has been that for a ton of people that hadn't picked up a book in
Yeah.
ages. And now here they are like chewing through these epic fantasies and getting back into reading widely because of it. So it's
That's amazing. Fun fact, when I was narrating audiobooks, I narrated 2 erotica novels in a shifter world.
oh my goodness.
So, and it was my face was burning while I was like recording these books, because there are things that happen in those books that I don't say like out loud to people.
I think you know what? I think being a person who likes shifter romances, I'm not even embarrassed that I'm like, ooh, I like these romances where they turn into werewolves. But like just some of the ways they describe sex, and I'm not a prude person, but I'll be like, I'm sorry, what?
I like had to stop recording so I could giggle. And I was embarrassing myself at points because I'm like, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, but I'm saying it out loud. And then I was at a writer conference in New York City, and I actually met the author of those books. She was at the event, and I recognized her name, and I was like, "Hi, I narrated 2 of your books in this series." And she's like, "Oh my gosh!" And
Was she like you expected, or
yeah, I think she was pretty much what I expected how she would be, but it was such a small world, isn't it? I mean, really, I did not expect to run into her at an event. It was just so random, but it's just a funny little side story of my audiobook narrator days.
no, I love that. That cracks me up. I remembered the question that I had for you, which was, how did you end up in Oklahoma?
Oh, that's a great story. So, well, I got divorced, not very romantic, right? And my ex-husband and I decided to sell our house in Florida, and I was really trying to decide where to go and where did I want to go. I could have gone anywhere. My mom and my sister live here in Tulsa, and I came to Tulsa through Tulsa Remote.
You know what? I'm recording another podcast this evening with Kayla Comrie, who does Kanara Books, and she is a Tulsa remoter.
There's a lot of us here now. I was in the second cohort, so I was in the second 100 people that they brought here. I actually tried to get in the first 100, back when it first started, I was a semi-finalist. I didn't get the offer that
So
year.
close.
So I applied the next year and I got the offer and moved here. And I think it's like 2,000 something people now
Yeah,
that have
it's a
come to Tulsa through Tulsa
big
Roanoke.
deal now. And
Oh,
what I love is, I was talking to another author friend, and we were talking about the impact that Tulsa Remote has had on the city, and like that there were some people that came, they bought a house in Tulsa, and now they've left, and
mhm.
they just run like they landlord. And then everybody who stayed, I haven't met a Tulsa remoter that hasn't been like one of Tulsa's loudest advocates
Mhm.
all the time. They're like, I literally got paid to move here, but I love this place so much and
Yeah.
I'm gonna shout it out. And I'm just glad that it brought you here because I've had so much fun getting to know you the last year.
I know, me too. And the community that I've been building, especially in the theater community, has been such a blessing to me, and the writing community here. Just amazing people in both of those communities. I can't say enough good things
It's such a
about it.
treat. So how do you think, as a person who's written around the country, how does the Oklahoma literary community compare to your experience in other places?
It's very active, right? We have a huge active community here. There's a Facebook group. I don't know if you're part of it, but it's 918 read. I think it's 918 Readers and Writers.
No.
And it was started to try to bring readers and writers in the community together. I went to an event at the downtown library. Rowan, who works there,
Mhm.
she sets up a lot of events. And she set up a writer event that I went to, maybe 6 months ago now. And then this was launched out of that event to try to like bring those communities together. It's just so amazing. And there's a lot of romance authors in Oklahoma. A lot of us here. There's a whole,
Oklahoma's for the lover girls.
yeah, there's a whole romance authors guild here. There's a Tulsa chapter and the main chapter's in Oklahoma City. Yeah, it's great.
So you've been able to find like a nice niche in that.
Yeah.
Um, I'm shifting gears a little bit because you brought up the theater community
Mhm.
again. So we got to be part of an original play, and there's
We
a
did.
lot of playwriting in
There's
Tulsa.
actually a playwriter group on Facebook too that I'm part of called Plot. And I actually started writing a play last year. And that's how I got added to that group. And there's a lot of playwrights in Tulsa. There's a lot of poets in Tulsa
So
too.
much poetry.
Hmm. Tons of poetry. Um, so a very active community. And I think, you know, I don't have to stay in Tulsa. I love being in Tulsa. I just love the people I've met and the communities that I've become part of. And that's why I'm still here. Honestly, it's great.
I love that. That was one of the questions I had was, is there a play in you think you're gonna?
So I started writing a rom-com. Um, I started writing it because Broken Arrow Community Playhouse has a short play event every year, and it used to be centered around Valentine's Day. So last year I started writing a 10-minute play, and it's a romantic comedy about a man who owns a flower shop and a woman who is a divorce attorney, and they're friends. And so it's like friends to lovers, but he
Mm.
kind of dares her to go out on these zany dates that she goes out on, and he sets him up on purpose to be like totally absurd because he's in love with her. And I think I'm going to turn it into a full length play. I'm going to
Yeah,
pick that back up. I've
like
been
let that one breathe.
Yeah. It's been nagging at me to dive back into that story.
There's something about writing a play because I've had one that I've been like picking at for about a year and a half now, that it's just like you're like, oh, I'll put it down for a minute, and then you're like, oh, maybe I'll pick that back up a little bit, and you do a little work on it, and
Yeah. And you and I getting to be part of original works. And I've been part of the two shows you and I have done, which were both
Mhm.
original works. And I've also been part of another two other original plays in my time here in Tulsa, and it's inspiring to me, like to see all these people writing plays and they're coming to life and happening, and I'm like, oh, I need to get back to my
Crazy good too. I got to see Dead Guy in the Pool
Mhm.
with Heller Theater, and it's just wow, we just
Yeah.
the talent and the staging, and they put it on, we've been playing in Studio 308, which is a kind of unconventional theater situation, but it creates so much fun in the way that you use space, and has really like opened my eyes, after 25 years of acting now, to see the space used in such a unique way and to make it a character. And this last one we were in was about being in a theater, being in a rehearsal. And I really felt like we were able to bring the audience in and make them feel like they were just like pieces of furniture in our rehearsal space. And just
Yeah.
the amount of creativity in Tulsa across writing and acting and, putting on plays and musicians and artists, like it's what a place to like feed a creative soul.
Hmm. I agree. And I think my acting background also really helps my writing. The people who've read my work say this reads like a movie. And I think because when I write, I can actually picture it all happening in my head. Like I see the scene and it's almost like a movie, like happening to me. And so it comes out on the page that way. And I think being an actor really helps with that too, with being able to imagine.
You're kind of like directing it in your
Yeah,
head.
I
And then,
am. It's so true. I direct the scenes in my books in my head as I write them. And I do have characters that I talk out loud to my characters in the grocery store. I talk to myself and I have conversations with characters. Like I've had an argument with a character in the grocery store out loud, people looking at me, and I'm like, oh,
you're like having
oops.
such a method moment. It's like, with this last show, because the character was so close to me, I found myself occasionally like being out and about and be like, well, how would this character respond to this
Yes.
situation? And ooh, yeah, that feels like close to me, but also very much like someone else, and like injecting that in on stage the next night. Like,
Yeah,
it's such a fun, like everything feeds itself.
that's so true.
I love it. So getting back into Real Perfect, because that is coming out so soon. What's left for you to do? Like, are you putting together some like online marketing and
Oh, so marketing is what I'm learning, right? I'm dabbling and getting into the deep end of marketing, and I had a real challenge with can I say Instagram out loud?
yeah.
They banned two accounts. Like I didn't even do anything. They're like, oh, that Lyr Gray, she's trouble. I had a really hard time even getting an Instagram account going. I'm on my third. So far, so good. They haven't disabled it yet.
Oh my goodness. I will make reels and stuff, and on the shop account, I can only use certain audios, which is fine, but it's because of the account type I have. And so I don't even have access to them. And I'm like, great. And then I'll go on my personal account, which I'm in there as a digital creator, and I will pick a sound and pop that on there. And I'm doing it all within Instagram. So I'm like, obviously I have access to the audio that I'm allowed to use. And then Meta will be like, there's a copyright claim on your stuff. If you want to avoid strikes, maybe don't use copyrighted things. And I'm like, you told me I could use it. What do you mean I need to avoid it? Quit telling me I can use it. I'll use royalty-free stuff all day long. But like, if you're going to give me a Taylor Swift song, let me use the Taylor Swift song and quit giving me attitude. And then you click on it and it's like, you're sharing royalties with this creator, but only when people watch this video in like Zimbabwe. And I'm like, I'm sure that the people of Zimbabwe are watching this Tulsa, Oklahoma creators reel about going to the
Yeah.
Discovery Lab. Sure.
Yeah. So I'm getting going on marketing um I'm going to try to get into like some events, right? I'd love to get into some author events and things like that. Uh, there is a book two planned in this series that
Yay!
I'm really excited about. I need to write it, but I actually have two more books planned in this universe. And book two is about a professional ballerina. She's introduced in this book, and a male review club owner who is a dance dad on a he has two daughters on a
Oh,
kind of a dance mom type reality TV show. So
oh,
still going with the reality TV theme,
I
and
love
it's
that. So I'm curious about that. Like when you were writing it, did those two characters just kind of jump
they're
out and say,
yeah, well,
Lyr, we have a story you need to tell
they're
too?
both in the book. And I was taking a writing course. I take a lot of classes from different people, and I was taking a outlining course from a woman, and we had to do a blurb exercise. And this blurb came out about these two characters, and everybody's like, that book's already sold, right? Like that's so amazing. And I already started the prep for that book. I've written like background my process. I write background scenes based on the Story Genius technique, and I've already written like their childhood scenes from their point of views and everything. So that's already like started, and I have an idea of where that book's gonna go. But those two characters are already living and breathing for me.
I love that. That's making me start to
Mhm.
think that maybe there are a few authors I read that I think probably use the story genius technique because I'm like, hold on, now that you're saying that, I'm kind of like drawing little parallels
Mhm.
to it. And I think that's so
Yeah.
exciting. And now I've got some reading to do because I've got a book that I've kind of been poking at that I want to like.
Yeah, I give new writers a copy of that book. I've given that book to people as a gift. I like that one. I also like Romancing the Beat. I get Gwen Hayes. I merge those two kind of together in my writing process. I think there's a few craft books that I kind of squish together in my process, and those are two of the main
Yeah,
ones.
you kind of pull the writers are so similar, but then also so different in their processes and ideas and techniques. And then especially like people who have studied one particular type of writing. I mean, so your degree's in journalism also.
My degree is actually in human resources. I changed my
Ah,
major from
okay, yeah.
journalism.
So in the entirely different style of writing to complete a
Yes.
degree like that,
Yeah.
but still like stylized in the way that you
Hmm.
approach things. And that's like, so like me coming from a journalism background, I've often have a hard time expanding my writing. It's typically very concise and sharp and, get just the facts, ma'am. And so when I wrote Clever Woman, it's a brief book. It only hits 300 pages because I accidentally left it double spaced. That's what happens when you self-pub and you're not like paying attention to things like that. But it's fun to see that like people will put pen to paper about their process, and then everyone else is like, ah, yes, I will read this and I will take what I can use out of it and fold it in. And so,
Yeah, and writing a book it is a singular journey, right? It's
mhm.
just you and the book. And I think that's why as writers we also crave a community, right, of other writers. And I know when I go talk with other writers, I just get so inspired and so enthusiastic and like excited to go work on my book. I think that's why that community is so important for
Yeah,
us.
that is for all the differences, the conversation keeps circling back to how important the community is
Hmm.
and like making sure that you have someone. And that's something I love about the Tulsa community that I talked a lot when we were recording Samantha Ryan's podcast was that the community, the second you say, I want to write a book, you don't have to have even written a single word, just saying, I want to do this. And another writer hears that, and suddenly you're getting folded into this community and being invited to this event. And, oh, let's add you to this Facebook group or this Discord server. And it's incredible to see.
It is. It really is. And I always try to help people in that way too. I'll help people with anything. If you want to learn how to get into audiobook narration, hit me up. I'll give you tips on that. If you want to learn how to write a book, hit me up. I'll give you tips on that. I'm all for helping people with those things. I think it's important, right, to encourage people and help them get on that journey as well.
Yeah. And it seems like you've had a lot of really wonderful encouragement.
I have. And I do invest a lot in myself, different coaching and courses and things like that. And I have a friend here in town. His name's Michael. He's a writer as well. And he read Real Perfect a little over a year ago now. And he was like, oh my gosh. He's like, this is like getting to have ice cream on a Sunday when all you ever get to eat is vegetables.
Oh,
and it was just like the best compliment
that's
ever,
incredible.
To have from somebody who read the book. I'm like, okay, I really need to publish this book.
Oh man, yeah. When someone says that about your writing, boom, done.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, I'll publish it. I will publish it. And, he was very encouraging, and I appreciate his encouragement and all the people who have kind of pushed me along, right, in this journey. So I think it's important to do that for others too.
I love that. And my final question that I ask everybody is, what is something that you have found most interesting and or surprising about your time in the literary community?
What a small world it really is. Honestly, the literary community is not that big, given how many books are written a day or a year, and the expansiveness of our country and the world. At the end of the day, it's amazing how many people I know, right? All over the world who are writers. And I just feel like that is interesting to me.
It really is like you just, again, you say, I want to write a book. I have this interest, or I just really love to read. And then suddenly you get absorbed in, and then everybody knows everyone and everybody's excited to share something they know. And
I've only had good experiences with people in any literary community that whether it's at conferences or here in town or wherever I might be. I've only had positive experiences with people. Honestly, everybody's just always been so nice and helpful and eager to answer questions. And
I love that.
It's just really heartwarming, honestly.
I love it. Was there anything else you want to share about Real Perfect or about writing?
I just, for anybody who wants to start, if you're out there and you're like, I want to write a book, just find a way, right? Find a way to get started. It doesn't even put something on the page. It doesn't have to be real perfect when you start, right? Because it is a process. And so not everybody writes clean on the first try. There is a revising process and an editing process, and it can take 8 years to get your book out. It doesn't have to be perfect on the first try. So if you're dreaming of writing a book, what's stopping you? Just do it.
I love it. It's such a great way to end it. Thank you so much for listening to Paper Girl.
Thanks for having me too.
Yes, thank you so much for being on here. You can pick up a copy of Lyr Gray's Real Perfect starting February 10th. Ebook pre-orders are already live on Amazon.
That's right.
Thank you for listening.